Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the Power to Live Your Vision podcast. I am one of your hosts. I am Dr. Jessie Bowen. I'm here with Coach Nathan Ray. Hello, sir. How are you
Greetings.
doing?
Oh, happy, radiant, free, shining bright like three diamonds, working my way to four, and excited to be with everyone today.
Well, that is great, sir. It's been a really powerful 9 weeks. This is week number 9 that we've been doing the podcast. And everyone, we are coaches and we are sharing with the world the power to live your vision and the things we've done. We're both international best-selling authors, grandmasters in the martial arts, and we're just trying to give back the experiences that we've had that have made us better, the knowledge. We've all made mistakes, but fortunately, we've been able to overcome those mistakes and now help people to shortcome and look out for the different potholes in life. So we're coaches. We are here to serve the community. And today we are going to be talking about law of attraction. And Coach Ray, that's a topic that a lot of people, it's sort of like it's old school.
Well, yeah, certainly. Especially when The Secret came out a few years back, and it was like that really popped, and there were pockets of people, but that really put it in the mainstream. And when Oprah put her stamp of approval on it, it really had a big launch out there. So, but ever since then, we've had an influx of a lot of people who maybe learn the material or hear the material when they speak about it. I think we have something very unique because this is our way of life. It's not something we're sharing with someone about. We're just sharing our lives because we live our lives according to these principles. So I think for everyone who's watching, no, I don't think, I know if you just stick with us for a few minutes, we may be able to share some ideas and get on the same vibration with each other so that you can take something from the conversation. I always love our conversations because it's always expanding. It's according to nature. It always expands, and we're always going to a fuller expression. So, and that's right in line with the law of attraction. So, hey, I'm excited about this week's show, and let's ready to jump into it. And I apologize, I didn't ask. How are you, sir? How are you doing?
I am better, and better, trying to make the world a better place.
I know that's right. You're doing it. We're doing it.
Well, when we start talking about law of attraction, and you're right, back in the day, that was the going thing. We were trying to discover ourselves, and all these things came about, and words like law of attraction, and people started reading about it. They started to study, and that's the most important part, is that you have to study. In fact, I began in this study of the law of attraction back when I was teaching classes for the civil life system and integrated that as a part of this training program, because what we know is that when we think about law of attraction, we're thinking about our thoughts. It's happening to us whether you like it or not. Whatever
Yep.
you think about most is what you're going to draw into your life. And if you don't believe it,
Yep.
take a look around. What's in your life? What are you thinking about? What's showing up in your life the most? In fact, I got so involved into it. Guess what I did? I wrote a book on it. Yes, I did. I wrote a book on
Why am
everything.
I not surprised?
I write a book on everything. In
That's what I'm
fact, we
talking
just
about.
finished book number 63. And this
Wow.
book is it's a great book, and I think this show brings some of it back around. And the book is titled Law of Attraction: Your Thoughts Determine Your Destiny. Again,
Yeah.
the book is The Law of Attraction: Your Thoughts Determine Your Destiny. In fact, I'm going to have it So if you want to check it out on Amazon, you can, the link that's going right across the screen there, you can go to Amazon and check it out. Law of attraction, your thoughts determine your destiny. So when we're thinking about the law of attraction, that is being able to bring, you know, what we're thinking about. Really, that's essential. If you change that, if you're thinking about negativity, if you're letting political stuff, if you're letting business stuff or negative thinking about you're not going to make it or you're not succeeding, then that becomes a problem. So you
Right.
want to be able to place yourself so that you can have those positive thoughts. And we're going to cover some things today that cover into law of attraction. But the most
Yep.
important thing I want you to know about it or to think about is actually what are you bringing into your life? You know, that's just that nature of your
Well,
thoughts, because your thoughts are energy.
well, I mean, you said it. You really hit it on the head, because it doesn't matter if you're aware of it or not. It's working. The law is always working. Now, it can work for you or against you, and a lot of us operate in ignorance. We're called, for a long time. I know I was a competent, uh, unknowingly doing things correctly, and I got good results, or I was doing things incorrectly and kept banging my head on, against the wall. So we call it a conscious incompetent, or incompetent conscious. You're conscious of the fact that you're doing it wrong, right? So I mean, but with the law being the law and operating at all times, it's really about, like you said, learning and knowing some little tweaks. Because even when you're aware of this, there are levels to it. And I mean, I had in my office, I think I mentioned on one of our other shows, I had, a board, and I had all my debts and my bills on it. And every time I come in, I'm sitting there, my subconscious is looking at that. And then the next thing you know, I'm getting some more in the mail and getting more in the mail. I'm like, whoa, 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 what's happening here? So you know what I did, right? I called my assistant, said, hey, erase the boards that are on everything off the board in my office, erase it. And I put some dollar signs, and I put some arrows flowing to the bank, and, I switched it around. But we always have a laugh about things like that, but we know the power of it is actually a real thing. It's those little, and that's why it's important to watch our podcast or podcasts like this, so that you can catch those little bitty tweaks in language, the words we use, our environment. We went into environment a little bit more last week on the podcast, so you can go back. You can see us on Roku. You can catch us on Spotify. Make sure you check us out there. But you can go back and look at the shows, and oftentimes all you need is just maybe one or two little things to tweak things. So that was one tweak I made, and it really helped a lot.
Well, and
Yeah.
that's the thing. We're being aware of our messaging, because the subconscious is not making a distinction between what is good and bad. And so that we talked
Right.
about your environment and how your
That's powerful.
environment influences things, but it also influences your belief system. And your belief system has the ability to influence your outcome. So maybe it's not even on a conscious level, and you're watching television, and something comes on or something on social media, and you're just connected to it. Pretty soon you start seeing that coming, shaping in your life. Now, the same
Mhm.
thing happens when you're studying positive things. If you're thinking about, about your business, well, how can I grow my business? Or if you're taking classes, and maybe you have that, that outcome you want to have. This year my focus is on one of the programs we're doing is the millionaire mindset. So, on my floor in my office, I did have my Corvette mats down. I've taken my Corvette mats up, and I put down my money mat. So I'm walking on $100 bills, every day. So when I come in my office, these are the things that you see, that are, or
Mhm.
that I see. So you have to look at what's around you, As you were saying a few moments ago, you've got your vision board up, but you got up there, well, I'm going to pay off all my debts, and you start coming in, you see in the word debt, and now that's what you start doing. Then you become aware of all your debts, and so debts become the overbearing thing in your life when you should see yourself that being debt free. And what are you going to do with this additional income that's coming in, because you don't have to spend that on the debts? Or if it's for health, how do you see yourself physically? Do you see yourself physically healthy, or you see yourself in a decline, or you're overweight? How do you see yourself? What is it you want to do? Take a pic. That's why in the vision board class, we bring in a picture of that body you want to have, and and the things that you need to do to get that body. Getting up in the morning and doing your workout, being aware of your calorie intake, start doing those measurements, and everything is a time sequence. So nothing just happens right now necessarily, but once you're in that time sequence, then things begin to happen in your life, because every day you are aware of what it is you want to draw into your life. If you want to be an author, well, then how many have you started writing? What have you started doing? How have you started manifesting? Because, when we think about law of attraction and your thoughts, that's why I wrote the book. It was 2011 when I wrote this book. But, your thoughts determine your destiny. That was the name of the book. Man, what was I thinking back in 2011? But we were all trying to get on board.
Right. Well, I mean, you hit on something there, and for the viewers, I think this is a maybe a key point leading back into when you're speaking about health. But you made the statement about the subconscious doesn't really recognize whether it's negative or positive. It's just going to work to manifest. And so that's just like the earth. The earth doesn't matter what kind of seed you plant. If you plant something that's poisonous, it'll give it back to you and multiply it. If you plant something that's healthy, it'll give it back to you and multiply it. It doesn't make any discernment between the two. So that's where our conscious mind comes in, and we can have that opportunity to make good decisions. And then going back to the health, I remember around this subject of manifestation and healing. It's and the idea was, hey, well, don't speak about it, don't acknowledge it, focus on your healthy self. And then some people take the attitude of, well, this is happening, this is real, right? And that's exactly why they keep getting more of it. It's not to deny that it exists, it's to deny that it has the right to exist in my body. That's the difference. So you're making a differentiation. Yeah, okay, it exists, but I'm denying its right to exist in this body. And so and again, it gets down to those little tweaks, because I think a lot of people, I think that was one of the challenges with The Secret, was people left watching that show thinking that if they just thought about it, it would just pop up one day. And so, as you always say, faith has feet. So if you're not taking action, then you're short-circuiting the way that this whole thing works. So it's great to have those positive thoughts, but then we still get to be busy and get busy and do what we need to do. And I love what you just said. As long as we're moving in the direction of what we want to manifest, we're making progress. We're actually doing a great thing. And that step can be as small as a half an inch, or a foot, or a mile. But as long as we're taking steps in that direction, we're winning.
And for our listeners, if you're following us and you're buying into what we're saying, try it. And, shoot us an email or message us and, hey, Jessie, Nathan, I tried this over the past couple of weeks and I see this impact in my life. Try some of these things that we're telling you, because they're true and they're going to work whether you use them or not. So it's,
right.
So try it and let us know how that our show and the things we're saying, how it's actually influencing your life. So the difference between visualization and execution, you
Mm.
see, you can visualize all the time. So we buy into visualization. Visualization is a creative state that we're in. So before you do it, you actually begin to visualize it. So I do that. This is when I'm writing a book or if I'm writing and whatever I'm doing, I visualize what I want it to be before I do it. And when I do that, it helps me develop clarity. And that clarity now tells me, and when I'm visualizing it, I'm having these emotional feelings. So when I'm visualizing it, because when you visualize, you need to have an emotional connection to that vision, so you can determine, okay, is this what I'm saying is seeing? Is this right, or is this wrong? And so what you want to do is that you want to visualize. I can meditate, but now, do I actually take action? Do I do I execute on that vision? If I see myself, as an author, and I just sent out an email to some folks and inviting them to join one of our book projects. But unless you can visualize, and I try to write in a visual way that people can actually feel what I'm saying, is that seeing themselves as a best-selling author, seeing themselves from the benefit of helping others, for the financial benefits. But until someone picks up a pen or say, well, hey, Jesse, I'm all in, then it's just, you can visualize what I'm saying all day, but to execute is to take action. So
Yeah.
visualization, that means that I'm seeing with my mind's eye what it is that I'm doing. That's the reason why meditation and visualization is so important. So now you can take that plan you want to execute, sit down, close your eyes, and bring it into your mind and begin to visualize the steps, the execution. There you can determine what will go right, what will go wrong, how will you fix it. And then you can get up and again begin to execute that vision. So when you're doing the meditation and you're doing the visualization, you are creating the blueprint. But now when you execute, you're taking the steps to create what you've manifested in your mind. And the more you study and the more you move towards it, you can almost guarantee the outcome that you're looking for. If you're looking for success, that's what you're going to get.
Well, I mean, you said so much. I'm sitting here, everyone, every week. I'm sitting here taking my notes as well, always being a student. And what you just said is really powerful. Just so that we're considering everyone who's watching, what if someone were to ask you though, what is the first steps in visualizing? Because some people feel like they can't, they like, for whatever reason, they don't try it. They don't take a second to just slow down and maybe close their eyes and even start the process. And of course, I think some of that is just tied to belief, because the more you grow your belief, of course, then you're more subject to take action. But I'm asking you this because I know, and I've shared it before, you are an action person. I love spending time with Hanshi because it's gonna happen. If he said it's gonna happen, you blink and it's here. So I always love that because I learned a lot about getting over my own procrastination and things, and actually sitting and taking a moment in the day. And now if someone says to me, they said, well, you do martial arts, you're a full-time teacher, you're teaching classes, et cetera, et cetera. So what is your hobby? I used to say golf was my number one hobby. And I really enjoy playing golf and doing that. However, it got replaced. Now my number one hobby is visualization. Then ask me what my hobby is. If I have a moment, I'm going to sit back, close my eyes, and I'm going to focus like you described just a moment ago. But what would you say to someone who maybe hasn't built their belief up yet, that would allow them at least, to take those first steps to really just trying it, what encouragement or guidance would you give them on that?
Okay, I'm gonna bring my screen down just a little bit. There you go. You're
So we can
sitting up
level
on a
out.
hill.
We level out. I'm growing. This conversation is making me grow.
Well, Nathan, they were born with this tool, with visualization. You have to realize you have it. So it's not, you don't have to go buy it.
Mhm.
It's there.
That's awesome. It's free.
It's free. You're using it every day. Right now, you're in your mind, you're creating a vision about our program. I like those guys. I don't like those guys. And then when you say that you're having, and then you may look and based upon where you are, you have this feeling, or you may visualize. My sister's already said, who was a great visionary and a prophet, who said, you guys are going to go places, you're going to do great things with your podcast. She sees what we're going to be doing, and she can encourage us and help to blend our vision. But you're visualizing something right this moment. Again, every week I say, scientists say we have over 60,000 thoughts that we have every day. So you cannot have a thought without having a vision. They have to both sort of live in that same environment. So if I stop visualizing, then I almost have to stop thinking. So you already have the tool. It's like having a brand new car, but nobody's taught you how to drive it. So every day you look out there and see the car, and they tell you it's a car, but you don't know how to drive it. So
Right.
think about that. With visualization, it's like having that car, but now you have to learn about what it is. You learn by studying, making yourself knowledgeable about, what is visualization? How do I now use this now to manifest in my life? And how do I begin to bring all of this together? So when you're bringing it together and you're thinking about, that you got to execute it. So I've got to walk over to this brand new Corvette, and I've got to open the door. I need to read the manual first. And then I got to climb in. I figure out how to start it up. I figure out how to put it in gear. I figure out how to drive it. I have to get used to the power of what I have. So this vehicle, I have to understand the power of it. So now I am driving. So that's how you do with your life. You can visualize, but it's the execution. So you got to go over and you got to open the door to your opportunity. So what opportunity is in front of you today that you may not be taking advantage of? Maybe your goal is, you have a financial goal, and you say, well, boy, I sure would like to make $1,000 today. How can I do it? Well, it's sort of pretty simple. And that simple way is that you create something that has $1,000 value, and you can sell it to one person. Or, you can now have something that has $200 of value, and you have to sell it to 5 people. But nothing will be sold on this great product until you actually take some form of action. And that action is the execution of the sale, whether it's picking up the telephone, calling someone. You want to have a better relationship with your spouse, then you got to start not looking at, oh my God, our relationship is bad, it sucks. So you got to do something. Hey, can we go out to dinner? Can we do something? And then that other person has to want to see what you're seeing. And so that's how you begin to make things better. You want a better life, in the begin the visualization, learn what a better life is. Because if you say, I want a better life, what does that mean? Or if you say, I want money. So if I give you $5 and you're broke, then you're wealthy. So you got to be able to understand that the difference between visualization and the execution. And the other thing that lines up with that, Nathan, is that you must emotionalize your alignment, because this matters, because I can now visualize it, I can go to execute it, but if my heart is not into it, so I've got to have that emotional feeling of how I'm going to feel when I earn this $1,000, or how I'm going to feel when I'm in this great relationship,
Yeah.
or how I'm going to feel when my health is better. So, so emotionally having an alignment with that vision, and while you're in the execution stage, that you have created an emotional alignment, and this really matters.
Yeah, that's very powerful. I mean, tapping into the emotion. I know we have a practice in martial arts and karate practice called kata, and the distinction between someone just doing a bunch of empty movements and the difference between them actually visualizing and making a presentation that actually moves other people when they watch is the emotionalization of the kata. So, for those that don't study martial arts, you can see it and you feel it when you see the team come together and they come into alignment. They're working together, and we say they catch their rhythm, they find their rhythm, and now they draw you into their rhythm. So we can see it in all different aspects. So that's a great key. I think. Thank you for sharing that with everyone, and everyone listening. And it's not to think that everything has to get done all at once. It's a process, and if you want our help with that process, we're here, and that's what Hanshi has offered earlier in the program. And I just like to reiterate to everyone, because it can be a little overwhelming if it's something new that you're exploring, or even if you've been doing this a long time, it could be overwhelming. But the biggest thing is take an action today. Do something today. Don't wait. And I think that's one of the big keys is action cures fear. When you take that action, it'll put that fear or that anxiety you have about moving, it'll put it in check so you can begin moving today. And so even if that's just one small thing you took from today, I think that can definitely align and get you in that alignment that Hanshi was talking about. So yes, sir. So where do we go from here? What's next?
Well, I just want to say, you're talking about kata, doing forms and things like that. And, that's, you see, for the martial artist, that is the first step in teaching visualization. So that's one of the
Yeah.
greatest benefits of studying the martial arts, because you're going through all
Mm-hmm.
these patterns and forms, and they're all about self-defense. And so it's not doing this. But it's a great place to practice to emotionalize, because,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm doing self-defense, how do I feel about it? I'm going through this kata, and let's say there are 10, 15 people that are attacking me in this kata. So how do I feel about that? Do I want to get beat up? I have experienced that before. And so
That's no brainer.
that is not going to happen. Okay. Take that one off the board. Okay. That's not going to happen. So,
Right. Don't
but
have
again,
that in your visualization.
no. But see that, but that's what I'm saying is that, so when I know for myself, when I'm doing kata, I love kata because now, and I love performing kata because my judges, they're looking at me and they're trying to say, is he going through this movement, or I'm growling, spitting, and they're going, dude is crazy. He is crazy. And who wants to mess with
That's
a crazy
emotion.
person?
That's that raw emotion, right?
Right.
Raw
Who wants to
emotion.
mess with a crazy person? If you walk in a
Nobody.
restaurant and some guys are there, what you gonna do? You tell your family, okay, let's get up and move. Okay.
Let's go. I'm leaving the building. I'm with Elvis. I'm out of the building. You're not finding me.
But that's what we're talking about, is that if you're going to be a performer, then you have to become the character. If you're going to become an actor, then you got to be that part. If you're going to become successful, you
Well,
have to be that part. If you're going to become wealthy, you have to be that part. If you're going to be healthy,
that's a
you
big
have
one.
to be that part.
I
So
love
all
that.
of these things are so important. And if you leave any of them out, then it's like baking a cake. Bake a cake, but you forgot to put the sugar in, or you bake the cake, you put salt in instead of sugar. So, all the ingredients that you use and all the ingredients that you need, all of them are very important. And I know our time is coming up here, but so we're
Right.
going to move on. And then we talk about that other part that I have discovered. Sometimes in life, it's another thing that's always there, but you have to sometimes reach a point or be in a discovery of it. And that is how to combine your faith and your disciplined action. So my faith is my belief, and like I said, I'm a minister now in this season of my life. So God is a big part of it. And, it's already been predetermined that we're already here for a purpose. So I believe that I'm here for a purpose. So if you think I'm doing something, I'm not doing anything. I'm just living in my purpose. So, and when
That's
we
powerful.
now become disciplined in that action, if you don't have a purpose, it's hard for you to be able to move forward. If you don't have faith, now, faith is something you don't see faith. You have to, if faith is a part of it, it's another of that ingredients. When you were born with faith. You cultivated and you grew it to another
Mm.
level. When we think about spirituality, that's something totally on another level, because that's having a relationship with a higher source, which I call God, with that higher source. And so everything I do is to move my purpose. And when I think of this, like this show is free, you're not having to pay for it. So my purpose is to share something that someone else may become better. So it's
Yes,
not a
sir.
paid program. That's coming, but right, this is not a paid program. So what you're doing, this is just sharing an experience. You don't have to believe it or not to believe it or not, but you do have to realize these things are happening in your life. So the sooner you believe it and recognize it, the sooner you can actually begin to take that action. So Nathan, so you got to combine faith, and you have to become, as I always say, you got to become disciplined in your actions.
Hmm. Well, I mean, and a lot of words people use, the power of words is incredible. So, that word discipline, setting out and describing what it is that you're going to do, and then, like you said, making sure we go into action to accomplish what we say we're going to do. So that's just, basics is foundation, but everything truly stems on having those strong foundations. So thank you for sharing that. I think I know I got a lot from that, and it's my will that the whole audience really heard what you just shared. And today's and I think all of our shows have been powerful, have been great. But today's show, there have been a lot of nuggets. So make sure you go back and join us on Roku and Spotify. And one of the keys that I came across after a long, long time of living this key through the martial arts, but not really consciously paying attention to it, is you need to have constant space repetition to master anything. And so, I remember doing Anthony Robbins' first program, Personal Power. When that came out, I was in college. And I said, oh, I'm going to do this program. I'm going to be rich. And I did the program, and I grew and I got better, and I didn't do it again. And I was wondering what was happening, you know. But any of those programs, books, things that we read, we need to have constant space repetition to really override old programs. So you all can utilize this program. You take notes now, apply, come back, watch us again, watch it over and over again. Any of our shows you can repeat, and as you grow, you're going to see totally new things the next time that you watch. So again, this is just so that we're being practical, being in alignment with how to actually put this into our lives. So that's those are really great points. Thank you for that.
And again, as we said before, everyone, share with us, message us, email us, and let us know how we can, support you. If you want to check out my website, you can go to coachjessiebowen.com and you can get me there. And Nathan, I know I was looking for
Yep.
give me how can people contact you?
Well, you can go to N as in Nathan, n.ray, R-A-Y, at mac.com. Just shoot me a message on my email, and I'll be sure to get back with you.
And everyone, so remember this podcast is actually sponsored by Elite Publications. That's www.elitepublications.org. And everyone has a story. You have to get it out. So just go to www.elitepublications.org. And remember, let's write that book together. And this podcast that we're doing is actually a book. So that we're going to be releasing the Power to Live Your Vision book, and that's going to be coming out in August. We've already got a vision. So we started this as giving back, but we already know at the end what's going to be the value of our podcast. It's going to be a book. And from that book, we can share it not only through our podcast, but we can actually share it around the world. So, Nathan, the last thing I have on my list here is the connection between law of attraction and the law of action. So we understand that, that is that discipline. Law of attraction is that I'm bringing into my life, what I'm thinking about. So make sure you're thinking about the right things that you're taking actions on.
Right.
We all have fantasies and, different things that's happening through our thoughts. And I always love the Cowboys and Indians. So I think, Nathan, I told you that I woke up and I was thinking about the Cowboys and the Indians. I said, okay. And I always call it, God says, well, stop thinking about it and write the book. So I'm writing my first novel. It is a Western a movie that I'm writing because these thoughts were going through my head. And so I'm going, they're just floating around for a long time. So let's just go ahead and put it into a book. So I've got half of the book written, about
That's great.
Madrid and his adventure in the Old West. So you're going to have to check out this book. It's going to be really extreme because, Johnny, is going to be a champion. So you're going to have to check it out. But that's what we're talking about in that vision of yourself in that book. What are you doing? What thoughts are going on in your head? And we think about the traction of the law of action. And Nathan says, well, Hunchy, I tell Nathan all the time, listen here, if I tell you something, Nate, it's going to be happening. So you got to be with me. You want to be with me. You don't want to be behind me. So you want to be with me. So you can make it flow.
Right. That's right.
But that's what we're talking about. So, what things are connecting in your life right now? So one of the connections we gave you today, drop us an email. Tell us what's, hey, Jesse, man, wow, that was great. Or, I don't quite get what you're saying. Do something to take action. So that law of action. So what are some of the things you've been procrastinating on that you can take action on? So those last two things is, it is the difference between the law of attraction and the law of action, because, I can be, thinking about things and wanting to manifest, and they're manifesting in my life. But if I don't take some form of action, then, there's definitely limited success. So, that's the thing for everybody. I'm leaving everybody with that thing to think about is that,
that's
you have the law of attraction and then you have the law of action.
Yes, sir. Sounds great. Wow. That's a great way to end today's show. I have nothing else to add. That's it right there. I'm ready to take some action. As soon as we turn the camera off, I'm ready.
Well, you and I both, we got a lot of stuff that we got to get going on here. So, but
Yeah.
everyone, remember, check us out, go to our websites, remember, we're on Spotify, we're on Roku. And remember, go to the Roku apps and download the app for Elite Publications Worldwide TV. And if you notice in the top right-hand corner on our podcast, that is the logo for it. So again, that is Elite Publications Worldwide TV. Download the app. You got us on Roku. You got us on your Facebook. We now have the page up on YouTube. So we now have the YouTube channel, which is The Power to Live Your Vision. So check us out. Well, Nathan, I'm out of here. And like I said,
Yes,
you have
sir.
a blessed day, have a blessed week. And hey, let's share next week the things that we manifested. So think about what it is you're going to share next week that we've taken this lesson, we brought it in our lives. I'm going to come back and share what we yielded from it.
Okay, that's the plan. All right. So we'll see you all next week.